Welcome everyone to today's free webinar. My name is Liz Faircloth. Excited to be with all of you today on this little bit of a dreary Monday here on the East Coast. It's been raining, but thank you for being here. I'm going to get our presenter here, Brittni, connected, and we'll get going soon. So as you're joining, thank you for spending time with us. I'd love to hear where you're calling in from, your location, your name, what you're excited about learning. This is all about education and creating the community that you need, right, to live a financially free and balanced life. So thanks for being here. So excited to have everyone here as you're joining. And I'm just going to take a look at where I can get our esteemed panelists. Awesome. Hey, Tracy from Raleigh, one of my favorite places. Very cool. Hey, Mindy from Florida. Hey, Taylor. Thanks for being here, everyone. All right. Very excited. Thank you for being early too. I love that. Love that. Always nice to be early. All right. I see Christine. Hey, Christine and Marco. Very cool. Thanks for being here. I'm looking for our presenter. But yeah, as you're joining us, please put in the chat box your name, where you're calling in from. And when it comes to the topic that we're going to be talking about here, generational wealth, what are you looking forward to learning? What are you excited about learning? Because that's really important as we jump into today's topic. All right. Get my screen. All right. Look for. Awesome. Yes, Philadelphia. Very cool. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone being here as you're joining us. Welcome to today's webinar. And hopefully you're experiencing more sunshine than me. A little bit dreary here on the East Coast, but thanks for being here. And I encourage you, please share in the chat box your name, where you're calling in from. And when it comes to creating generational wealth, which is really going to be the main focus here, I'd love to hear what you want to learn, because that is very important as I get our presenter here queued up. I'm just looking. Okay. All right. Welcome, welcome. I do not see our presenter here. Let me just check on a few things, but welcome everyone. Just give me a moment here. I'm just doing a little troubleshooting to ensure our presenter has what they need and is in good shape here. But welcome everyone for being here and let's look here, Brittni. Make sure, but welcome. Put in the chat box, certainly your name and where you're calling in from and what you're excited about learning. That would be great. All right, and I do not see Brittni yet, so I'm going to just go down here. All right, but please stay tuned here. We should be with you here shortly with my presenter, just making sure she's all set. If not, I always have plan B, so don't worry about that. Hey, Nancy from Texas. Okay, just give me one moment, everyone, because I'm not seeing our esteemed presenter, but that is okay. Life happens. We go with it. And I know. Okay. Do not see her here. Okay. All right, Brittni, if you're here, maybe you can raise your hand, but I do not see your name. So I just need a little support here in terms of if you're here, if you're under another name, but I do not see you to promote you. I don't see you as a panelist either. So, so let me do this, everybody, and please welcome. I just wanted to say welcome to everyone. Hey, April. April, looking, yes, the sandwich generation. That's a big one. Very cool. Yeah, that's huge right now. That's a lot of challenges people are experiencing. All right, so give me a second, everyone. Welcome if you're just joining us. My name is Liz. I'm going to be your facilitator here in terms of ensuring that our presenter has what she needs. I do not see her here. So I'm just troubleshooting what's going on, some technical difficulty. Give me one moment. I'm just going to unmute myself. Please put your name and also put in, when it comes to generational wealth, what does that look like to you? Like if you just said, it's the number one reason women invest in real estate. Literally the number one reason women invest in real estate is for generational wealth. What does it look like to you though? Because it's a big term. So I'd love to keep the chat going. Give me 1 second. I'm going to give a call to our presenter and then we'll go to plan B if she isn't here. All right, I want to read some of these comments here. And then we'll get started here. Okay. Generational wealth. I would love to leave at least one property grandchild to do with what they choose, live in it, sell it. That's great. Yeah. Looking for a trustworthy source to assist. Deborah's saying, yeah, that makes sense. Collingswood. I know where you are, Rebecca. Love Collingswood. Generational wealth means to me freedom for my children and security in my retirement. That's great. Awesome. Very cool. Love those shares. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I want to make sure everyone's time is well spent. That is really important to our community. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of our community. It's the first thing. And then we're going to pivot. If our presenter is here, we will have her present. If she's not here, I'm going to do plan B here. I always have something up my sleeve. And everything. So hold on, she's calling me right now. All right, good news, everyone. She's coming. There was a little bit of a technical difficulty. So I'm going to share my screen here, everybody. I want to just share a little bit about the Invest Her community. In the box, in the chat box, excuse me, if you could put new, I'd love to hear who is new to our community. We've been around for 5 years, but I'd love to see who's new. Hey, Melinda. Hey, Nancy. Awesome. Monica, nice to see you. Taylor, Kathleen, awesome. We have some new people. Great. So a little bit about Invest Her. Our number one, our mission is to empower women to live a financially free and balanced life. That is critical, right? The second thing I wanted to share is a little bit about our Facebook community. If you are not plugged into our Facebook community, this is a safe place, free community for you to ask questions, get the support you need. We also, if you're not familiar, we have 50 plus meetups around the country. Hey, Brittany. And we have 50. So really the point there is that we are all about making sure you have like a local community, right? That you can give and get support. So check those out. We also have an EXP org, which is basically women real estate agents who are looking to invest. So check that out. Or if you're looking for a change on your agent business, we have a growing team there. We have free webinars twice a month. These are virtual events with experts. So definitely keep coming to these. We try to bring on the latest and greatest, experts to really share some great content with you. If you have not heard, we have Investor Con coming up. It's the #1 premier conference for women investors. We're having this year's conference in Austin, June 2nd to 4th. If you've not heard about what we do there, it's an incredibly transformational a few days that you can really tap into the collective genius of 500 women. So I know you've been there, Brittany. You've been there, right? You were there last year and the year before. Yeah.
Yep, I was there in Scottsdale. Yep.
Hey, Brittany, glad to have you here. Sorry about the technical challenges. Glad to have you here. We'll work that out. And then the last couple of things, and I'm going to give the floor to Brittany. We have our Strive Mentorship Program. This is for women who've done 5 to 10 deals or more, who are quite honestly done with being a solopreneur. They're trying to figure it out all themselves. So we've created this mentorship program, and that's what is dedicated to it. If you apply, it's application only. If you apply and you're accepted, you actually get a free ticket to InvestorCon, which is really cool. And the last thing I want to share, this is a really neat free resource and big opportunity. It's basically, we have a phenomenal team member. Her name is Fatima. She's our senior business coach, and she's willing and happy to do complimentary calls with women who have done 5 to 10 deals or more, and really helping you be strategic with your time as you grow your portfolio. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of it. It's free. It's really just to support you on your growth. And those are and I'll share that. I'll share the link in the chat box once we get going, and I'll share it later. But I want to share with you the amazing Brittany. You've been part of our community for at least 4 years, I want to say, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. And I love what Brittany talks about, because listen, we all know generational wealth has a lot more to do than just real estate, right? It's a component of it, but it's what I love what she talks about, and all the presentations and support she's given our community. A lot of people work with her. It's very holistic, and she's really coming at things from a planning perspective, not just from a singular perspective. And I'm probably not saying it as well as Brittany can, but I want to give her the most amount of time here, and I'll come on about quarter up if we can keep to that time frame.
Yep.
Because I know everyone, we want to get out, we want to get them moving on by 1 or a little before. But thank you for being here, Brittany. Thanks for all you do for our community. Thanks for always showing up and sharing words of wisdom for the women, because it's about the planning. It's about the holistic view. It's not just about the property, right?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And nothing like a technical glitch on a Monday morning.
I know. I was about ready. I was like, okay, I got a few things up my sleeves. I always got something up my sleeves, Brittany,
But yeah, always excited to be here. And I was so proud to be at the conference and to be a supporter of the conference in Scottsdale. And just to see that live energy in the room and just get to connect with everyone. So really great opportunity for those on the call to engage with a really great group of women. I have to say, I think in the past, I used to shy away from women-focused things because the vibe was off, or I always thought they were going to be very competitive in a way that wasn't supportive for growth. But the community, the investor community, is a really great and special community. And now I'm a financial planner that's focused primarily on helping women grow wealth. So those are rooms I like to be in. But super excited to meet everyone. Today's topic is a topic that I speak to my clients about pretty much on an hourly basis. And it's something that I'm really, really passionate about: creating generational wealth for women. And I think we can all share in knowing that the finance biz has been a place that's been run by men and for men for far too long. It wasn't until 1974 that women could even own credit cards by themselves, and different states passed different levels of property rights and ownership rights starting in the 1900s, or even before then with New York State. So we have been fighting and scratching and screaming to be included at this table And I was kind of like, maybe I should just start a new table. Maybe we should just, kind of start our own table and kind of invite our own people. And that's what you and Andressa, Liz, are doing with real estate investors, really empowering women. And that's exactly what I'm here to talk about today. Some of these strategies we're going to talk about, you've probably heard before. So some of them might be just a chance to repeat and to remind some things that maybe you need to take action on. Maybe some stuff today will be new concepts that you haven't heard about, or maybe you've heard about, but just wanted to learn a couple more things about. So I'm going to dive into the presentation, and I'm excited to get started. So let me just share my screen and we will jump in.
And just from a real quick, from a housekeeping perspective, I'll encourage everyone, if you can, use the Q&A box to put your questions up there, because you might have a question and she might be getting to it. So we want to make sure we cover all your questions. That's why this is live. Brittni and I didn't pre-record this. That's the whole point of why we're literally live with you. So I would encourage you to put it in the Q&A box, and either we can wait till the end when I come pop back in about quarter of Brittni, and make sure we field the questions. But I would rather you not put them in the chat box and put them in the Q&A, so I can just pounce on them.
And helps us stay organized.
Yeah, and I'm going to go off camera, and you got the floor. Thanks so much for being here, Brittni.
Of course. So just a real quick background on me. I live in Philadelphia. My roots are in the Midwest, though. I grew up in Michigan. I actually went to the University of Michigan, and I'm divorced. I got divorced in my late 20s, and then I met the man of my dreams, Tom. We got remarried, or I got remarried. He got married for the first time just after Christmas during COVID in December 2020. And we had our first kid, Thomas, in January 2022. So I'm a mom, just like a lot of moms here. And, I go to work every day, not only for my family, right? Because I have a business in planning that's, to help put my family in the direction that I want them to be in, but really just to help, like I said, create a table where women feel empowered and welcome and able to ask questions without any shame or judgment. Really, I believe that the world would really be a better place if more women were empowered to manage and grow more wealth. So that's my goal today, is to help you have the right tools and resources to help you do that. And again, I appreciate the time to be here today. So before we dive into the strategies, I also just want to share a little bit about my background, what got me here today. My story is rooted in my mom, which, a lot of us as women have stories rooted in our mothers. In January of 2010, my mom lost her job. She was a saleswoman. I had a really good job. And in March of 2010, my mom was diagnosed with a very, very, very aggressive cancer. It's a rare breast cancer that's only diagnosed in stages 3 or 4. She had about a 25% chance of surviving 5 years, and she made it only 16 months. So in July 2011, I actually bought my first house in Fishtown here in Philadelphia. I turned 25, and then I had to say goodbye to my mom. And to make this event even more challenging, as a young woman, my mom passed away without life insurance. My mom was 46 years old when she was diagnosed with cancer, and she was 48 years old when she passed away. I think if you would have looked at our family, my mom would have been the last person we thought was going to be the first to really pass away in a generation. And little did we know she was the first one to go. And we were completely unprepared. She was unprepared to die. I was unprepared to pay for her funeral expenses. And, the experience I went through with my mom and my family, again, is a major, major, major reason why I'm here today, now as a financial advisor with Northwestern, to help guide women in making smart decisions for them and their families. I know that what happened is not what my mom had wished for me and my sister. And if there's anything I can do to learn from that experience and help other people not relive what we went through, then I've lived my purpose here on this earth. So I miss my mom every day, but I'm very grateful to have lived the experience I live, because now I'm a leader in other women's lives to make sure that they're building and protecting their wealth with confidence. So I first want to kind of start this conversation by setting the context of where we're at today and how far we've come as women in our ability to grow and manage wealth. Whoops. So first and foremost, right, the gender pay gap in the US hasn't changed much in 2 decades. Women are still under earning their male counterparts, even though legislation has been passed to have equal pay. I think over the course of a woman's lifetime, working a normal like W-2 job, women are going to under earn their male counterparts on average, just like $500,000, not to mention how men can put that money to use to grow and build wealth for them. So huge gender pay gap issues, still life expectancy gap on top of women under earning men. We live longer than men. So we need more money to keep living because we live a longer life. Shortage of care keeps many women from benefiting. So the other big thing with women is socially, we're expected to be the caregivers, right? And that means the caregivers to our children when they're sick, but also the caregivers to our family as they age and need care. Long-term care is more prevalent than it ever has been. And more women are being asked to take time out of work or to leave work entirely to care for their aging parents because they haven't put the right planning into place. So again, under earning your male counterparts, living longer, and then out of the workforce more, one, because we can have children, but two, because we're the ones that are expected to care for our family. Now, all of this, I'm going to kind of go through these quickly because to save time, but we just talked about, women weren't even allowed to, start earning property until the late 1800s, early 1900s, when states started to adopt those property laws. And then on top of that, the Equal Pay Act, like I said, wasn't passed until 1963. That's the year my mom was born, right? That was just a generation ago. 1972, Congress approves Equal Rights Amendment Act. And then 1993, the Family Medical Leave Act is passed to allow 12 weeks of unpaid leave to care for families. So even with all of these things that have come into play, there's still gender pay issues and just issues that are unique to women for why we need to think about planning differently. It's not just about growing our money, but it's also about how we're caring for that and planning for that with unique risks that we face in our plan. So with that in mind, I have 5 wealth building tips for women. Again, I don't know if any of these are repeats of things that you've heard before. Maybe they're new, maybe they're reminders, but these are all things I talk with my clients with on a daily basis, and wanted to share some tidbits of wisdom and some action items you can take today to start creating wealth that will last for generations and not just be here for you today while you're alive, but will be a legacy you can leave behind. The first one, cultivate your money mindset, know your numbers, protect your castle, grow your money, and stop paying taxes. So we'll dive into cultivating your money mindset. Now, we could probably have a whole entire webinar on just the next slide or two alone that would fill at least an hour. And I'm going to try and cram it into just a couple of minutes here. So money mindset and the power of our mind and its ability to shape our future is just something I think a lot about. I'm a yogi also, and I teach yoga. So just the power that our minds can have in creating the future that we want is such a big thing that I instill and actually challenge my clients on a lot. So just kind of, if you want to raise your hands or just think to yourself about these things, how many times have you thought or heard someone else say the following things? Number 1, I'm just not good with numbers. Let me tell you what, people don't come out of the womb knowing how to, crunch, and make balance sheets and to calculate rates of return and things like that. That's a taught, those are learned skills, right? So we can't just say we're just not good with numbers. It's a skill we can cultivate and at least try and to learn and build for ourselves. My family isn't rich, so I will never be. Right? Thanks, Tracy, for raising your hand, being honest there. Yeah, I think a lot of us might not have been born into wealth. Most of us haven't been, right? That's why they're called the 1%. We have to honor our past because it's a part of who we are, but we do not have to let our past define who we can be or what we can build for the future, right? So just because you weren't born into money doesn't mean we can't change the trajectory for our family now and for future generations. Investing is just too complicated. How many of you probably thought about that before you even joined the investor community, or maybe you're here trying to build yourself and your confidence to learn about real estate investing? I hear about this from women all the time. And guess what? A lot of this business, there's just a lot of fancy words, I think, to mostly try and make the men sound smart, like, just gonna tell you the truth. There's really only so many places and so many different spots to put money. And we can dive into a little bit about this, but debunking this investing is too complicated thing is something I spend a lot of time on with my female clients, because once they understand how it works, their tolerance for being in the market is greatly increased, because it's really just an education gap. We just haven't been, educated in this areas because we just don't talk about it that much. And speaking of which, it's taboo to talk about money. So, and the reason why I put this on there again, that this is why the investor community is so important. The more that we get comfortable talking about money and not letting ourselves be solely defined by a number that is attached to us, whether it's an income number or a net worth number, the more I think we can have power over our money, rather than money having power over us. And so this doesn't mean you have to flaunt your money, but I do think some women and some people in general get worried about the perception of others on themselves if they have money or are talking about money. And I just think that's something that has to go. We need to support women wherever they're at in pursuing their goals. And we need to come together as communities to help our women counterparts and ourselves get to where they want to go. And part of that involves talking about money and being honest about money. I'm not ready yet. Or how about I'll be ready when, right? That's when we probably say to ourselves all the time too, when we hear other people say. This is a statement about your self-worth, 100%. If you say, I'm not ready yet, or I'll be ready when, essentially what you're saying is, I am not worthy for what I want today, but I will become worthy when XYZ happens. When I get married, when I get a new job, once I, do this, but the list goes on. Ladies, you are worthy of everything you want today, and you do not have to wait for some special circumstance to happen to suddenly open the door so that you can finally be worthy enough, right, to take action on your dreams. This is a huge, huge, huge one. I know I'm guilty of this a lot, but I know so many women, we fall guilty to this one. Lastly, I just need to work harder. I know Liz and Andressa talk a lot about this in the community. Just because I can pay someone else to do something doesn't mean hold on, let me say, I said it backwards. Just because I can do something doesn't mean I should, right? And what's wrong with paying someone to do something that I could otherwise do? Because it frees me up to do higher value things that are going to continue to grow my life or move my business forward in the direction I want it to go. I think as women, we've just been so conditioned to carry the world and everything else on our shoulders, that we get into this like workaholic kind of trap, when really we could delegate and focus on our genius and the things that bring us joy, and try and grow our money by being just smarter with our time. A couple other like honorable mentions. Money will come when I have everything else running perfectly, right? There's no perfect, part of the messiness of growing your money and your wealth is getting into some deals that hopefully go your way, but sometimes things don't go your way. And that's how you learn to make better decisions later. I know Liz has a great story about the lessons that she and her husband learned early on in investing. And guess what? She's now running it with Andressa, a humongous community of women, and empowering them all the time. I'm sure she wouldn't be here without some of those mistakes and other mistakes that you've all made along the way. So these are all, I'm sure, thoughts and a million others that, probably cloud our mind and get in the way of us taking action on our dreams. And like I said, we can spend an hour talking about mindset exercises and ways to overcome these stories we tell ourselves. These are a couple of things I talk to my clients about, and I actually work on myself with my own money mindset. One is create a money mantra, or some kind of mantra that kind of keeps you connected to yourself, your goals, and your passion when times get hard. My personal mantra is always, everything is always working out for me. It's a mantra that I adopted maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And on days where I feel really challenged, things don't seem to be going my way, I just take a deep breath and I say, Brittni, things are always working out for you. Just chill. Like, let it unfold in the way it's going to unfold. It might not unfold the way I think it is or should, but let it unfold the way it's meant to unfold for me, right? Some other money mantras might be like, abundance is always coming my way, right? Or I'm a money magnet, right? Whatever kind of gets you pumped to stay connected to you, your energy, and your purpose. I think it's always good to have some of those in your back pocket that you can come back to ground yourself. These other exercises is really around, when you catch yourself in these mental loops, saying like, oh, I'm just not good enough yet, or this will happen when, or whatever. It's important, we can't necessarily completely stop our minds from having these thoughts. If you have these thoughts, it's not like you're doing this wrong, but it's more about what you do when you have these thoughts to shift the narrative and bring it back to reality and facts that ground yourself into the now, right? That will be a practice that takes some time. But if you say, I'll do that when, blah, blah, blah happens. It's important to stop and say, well, why do I believe that? Why does that thing have to happen before I go after this thing? And kind of start to break down and challenge your thoughts in these loops, has been really helpful. And I know this is how we start to cultivate a stronger mindset. Surrounding yourself with more successful women. What is the saying? You're a reflection of the 6 people that you surround yourself with every day. And again, another call out to this, the power of the community and the ability for others to expand what we know is possible for ourselves. And then lastly, breathe, give yourself grace, and keep going. This is never going to be a perfect. This is always going to be a practice. Money mindset is always a practice. It's not a perfect. And it's something we're going to always be working on and expanding as our goals continue to grow and expand as we are, personally grow and expand. Again, we probably need a whole hour to talk about this. This is just scratching the surface. Next, know your numbers. I really appreciate Andressa and Liz, because I know that their frameworks are kind of grounded in some of the similar baselines. So again, these might be repetitive, but what applies to real estate applies to the other parts of your financial lives too. And I guess this is another question for you all. How many of you, if I woke you up at midnight, you're sleeping, 3 hours into your sleep, I wake you up at midnight and I say, tell me what your cash flow is on your current real estate properties. How many of you could probably spittle out, like in the middle of the night, knowing which properties are cash flowing, exactly how much, which ones are making the most money, which ones are costing you the most? You could probably spit that out in a minute or two if I woke you up in the middle of the night, right? How many of us can probably do that? How many of you remember how much money you spent personally as a family last month, right? So taking inventory and getting really intimate with your numbers, both as a business owner, but also your personal finances, is so important, because your growth, your KPIs, your goals, it's all going to come back to where you are today. And it's always a good idea to take inventory, both on the business side of things and on the personal side, because really the personal finances are like a business too, right? It's the same concepts. But I find that for a lot of us, we tend to focus a lot on maybe the business side of stuff and maybe aren't always as diligent on the personal side. So even just going through a regular budget 2 times a year or once a quarter is a great exercise to get grounded in knowing just where you're at, right? The next thing I work on with my clients is knowing your balance sheet and tracking your net worth. Now, for those of you that don't know, a balance sheet is essentially just your single statement. Usually it's a page or 2 of your assets and your liabilities. This picture is a very simplified version of a balance sheet, right? But it's what you own that has value and what you owe money on, the debts that you have outstanding. And then it's assets minus liabilities that gets you to your net worth number. And when I'm working with my clients, we're always trying to grow our assets, leverage our assets, and properly spend down or pay down our liabilities to continue to grow our net worth. So it's like our report card in planning. And if you don't know what your current net worth is, again, this is really great inventory to take out ownership of. And guess what? It's way easier to do this now when you have only a couple properties to manage than in like a couple years when you have 20 properties and then you're like, oh my gosh, your head is spinning. This is something you should always be updating on a regular basis, if not quarterly, maybe monthly, depending on how fast your business is growing. Accredited investor, this is something that came up with one of my real estate investor clients recently. There's a qualification that many of you probably seen it before, because Liz and Andressa opened up some of their investment options to accredited investors. And an accredited investor is an investor who has over $1 million in net worth not counting your primary residence, so that's excluding the primary residence from that calculation, or you're earning more than $200,000 annually, or $300,000 if you're married, with the expectation that you're going to continue to earn that much. And getting your accredited investor designation is going to vary. That process will vary from opportunity to opportunity if you're trying to get into an investment deal. But I just wanted to draw this attention to you too. If that's a goal of yours to become an accredited investor, you need to get ownership of your budget and your balance sheet ASAP so that you can have the right documents and things together to have that accreditation granted to you when you're ready to jump in. All right. Next topic, protect your castle. This was actually an analogy that I saw in one of the sessions at the Investor Con. So I'm excited to bring it here and to share with you this analogy. So I want you to imagine that you are a queen. I mean, don't imagine it. You're all queens, right? And the wealth you are building is your castle. It is your queendom. And think about a castle for a moment. What layers of protection do castles often have? They probably have a guard, right? They might have a drawbridge. This one has like a little moat. They might have alligators in the moat, right? They might have cannons surrounding in the different little windows, right? As queens of our wealth, we also need to think about all of these protection pieces that we're putting into place to ensure that our castle is also safe from harm. And generally, these pieces that I address with my clients come into play as risk management strategies and estate planning. This is probably the stuff that's causing you like a huge snooze fest, but stay on the line. I'm telling you, we knew my mom was dying, and my mom did not have a will. I don't know why no other adult in the room with my mom didn't pull my mom aside and say, hey, Lori, you need to get your shit together, right? I mean, part of the reason is because we were all so committed to my mom's well-being and getting better. Maybe some people just didn't have the courage, but this is not something that you wait to put into place when something happens, because by that point in time, it's too late to put into place. So again, this could be each of these topics could be an hour webinar on their own. I have about 10, 11 minutes left to get through content here, but let me take you through some of the strategies I talked to some of my clients about, just so you know what I'm talking about. Again, we talked about risk management, managing unexpected expenses come up, illness, accident, injury, dying too soon. Protecting your income. Now, going back to some of the stats about women in the workforce, we're out of the workforce more than men because we bear children. We're actually at higher risk of disability that would take us out of the workforce than men as well. 1 in 4 employees will be disabled for 3 months or more during their careers. Now, that's a sampling of men and women. If we take men out of that sampling, it's about 1 in 3 women will be out of the workforce for more than 3 months. The average disability claim is 2 to 3 years if it's not a long-term disability. So your ability to earn an income, if you're a W-2 employee right now, especially, and you're working to create your own independent income streams, your ability to stay in the workforce and earn an income is your greatest financial asset. And protecting your income is one of the things that I put into place for my clients that are in growth mode. Because think about it, if your income goes away, really our autonomy and our power goes away. The financial plan is a whole other thing, but we lose our power if our income goes away. So I talk to my clients about strategies to implement disability income protection. If you are in real estate, you're a business owner, there's also ways we could talk about this with you and your business, especially if if you're a key employee, like you're making deals, you're selling, stuff. There's different ways we can put this into place too. It doesn't just apply to W-2 employees. But it's especially important to talk about this before you leave your W-2 job, because it's easier to financially underwrite when you have a W-2 income. So protecting your income, arguably the most important insurance you can put into place as a woman. Life insurance, we're going to talk about life insurance a little bit more. I think we all know what life insurance is at a high level, right? What happens if you were to pass away? How is your family going to help pay the mortgage or buy groceries? I think where I see the biggest mistake with business owners, and especially real estate business owners, is think about all the joint ventures or the joint investment opportunities you're involved in right now. Do you have agreements on each other? What happens if your co-investor passes away or becomes disabled? Where's the money to complete their end of the deal? Right? How do you become whole if something happens to your investor or vice versa? So I think most people have a pretty good understanding what life insurance is, but I see mishaps and frankly, I don't want to say laziness, but I do see some people just not take action on protecting their business properly with life insurance, especially when they're in joint venture deals with other people. Finally, long-term care planning is an important planning topic I cover with my clients. It's not only important for the people who are aging to make sure they get the right care, it's equally important, or maybe even more important, to address how it's protecting women. Because again, women are the ones that are expected to leave the workforce, put their business on hold to take care of their aging parents. And long-term care planning for your parents or for you and your spouses goes a long way in protecting your autonomy, your emotional well-being, your financial well-being, your physical well-being. So just don't think about it as just something to put into place in case, grandma or my parents, get ill. It's also about protecting you. And that's a big topic I cover. I've been covering a lot lately with my clients. An estate plan, I'll go through this real quickly. It's never too early to start planning for your estate. I talk to a lot of single women. This is not something you wait on and you put off until you're married. All right. If something happens to you in your single state, I want to make sure that your wishes are still carried through, whether that's through a will, power of attorney, health directives, things like that. And of course, these documents get updated and they kind of change and transition over time. But this is not something that you wait till you have kids to put into place, right? Or until you get married. This is something that you should start thinking about now, because guess what? Your wishes are important as a single person. And they're also important when you engage and start adding more people to your life. I do see some questions. I might have to handle these ones separately. We can get to those at the end, I think.
Yeah, we can do it at the end if you have a little bit more to share.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'll come back in about 5 minutes, okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. Estate planning, like I said, this is stuff that I don't do directly, but a lot of times my stuff is used with an estate lawyer to help with estate planning. And then empowering my clients to talk with their parents about their estate plans. Because guess what? If your parents don't have a plan for their estate or don't have a long-term care plan in place, chances are you're their plan. And I don't know if you want to be. I don't know. And I don't know if you want to be. So some questions you can start asking. All right. We have 2 more topics to get through. We're going to get through it. Growing your wealth. I think I'm in good company here, right? One of the things I love about the real estate investor community is that y'all know that you need to leverage your money to grow your money, right? And there's nothing like real estate investors that to understand leverage, right? And so growing your wealth to make the most of your money, cash is not a long-term investment strategy. It's not a long-term wealth strategy. So how are we putting our money to work to make the most of our money? Investment considerations, I go into all of this in more detail with my clients one-to-one. To be honest with you, it's really similar questions and a really similar process that you've probably gone through as you started to develop your real estate portfolio, right? How much risk am I willing to take? How long am I going to be invested before I need the money? Do I want to be invested in, locally, far away, internationally? Do I want to do joint? All these things that you've probably pondered about your real estate investments are also carry over into the equity market as well. Everyone has known about asset diversification and allocation. Again, similar concepts in real estate. I'm not, I'm talking to, we're all friends here that probably have heard these things before. Similar concepts carry over. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be diversified in a more diversified portfolio. I meet people all the time that tell me they're diversified and they only invest in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is only the top 500 companies in America. There's a lot more companies and categories to be invested in. So, like I said, I spend hours educating my clients on this stuff. I'm just scratching the surface here. But I want to share with you that in the market, a lot of the conversation, it's not that much different than conversations you're already having with yourself, with members of the real estate investor community, or that you've had with like, you know, family members, things like that are involved with your investments. In addition to asset diversification and allocation, I also talk to my clients about location of assets, right? Location, location, location. It's a big deal in real estate. It's a big deal in financial planning. You know, I talk to you all the time. Why would you put money in an IRA that's not self-directed that you can't touch until you're 59 and a half, right? It's just sitting there. Hopefully it's invested and growing. But why would you like tie up money there when you could put it to work in other areas of your plan? These are other things I talk to my clients about, especially when it comes to taxes, right? We are always looking to get a break on taxes, and understanding the tax treatment of these different accounts and how to build tax efficient wealth in your plan is another way to gain an edge in your wealth building strategy to ensure you're not tipping the IRS. We all owe our fair share, but we're not tipping the IRS, right? We're not giving them more money than we need to. And that leads to my last topic, which I'm going to get through really fast, Liz, I promise. And that is stop paying taxes. Stop paying taxes. Stop letting taxes drag down your wealth. And it's not only just the wealth that you're building today, but again, how you're passing that wealth on to your family for generations. Real quick, these are two men. I'm sorry, my examples are two men. I'm going to work on getting two examples of women. But what do these two men have in common? We have Walt Disney and we have Ray Kroc. I'll tell you, these two men in the early stages of building their legacies leverage something called permanent life insurance to get access to capital to fund their businesses when traditional funding sources were not available. And listen, put yourself in the banker's shoes, right? You have a young guy named Walt Disney walk into your bank and he says, hey, I have this amazing idea for a talking mouse and a talking duck. It's going to change the world. Like, are you giving this guy money? Maybe not. And so Walt Disney tapped into his permanent life insurance policies to get his idea to concept before he could get traditional funding. And Ray Kroc used his life insurance to fund wages and things like that as he started to expand the McDonald's empire. And we all know where these two men ended up and how amazing their empires are today. So, you know, the IRS and taxes, they really only allow a couple of places for us to put money in tax efficient ways. And this is outside of the real estate place that you all know so much about. Municipal bonds are a snooze fest. They're doing better now, but traditionally they're not that great. Roth IRAs, again, a great vehicle, but we have caps to how much we can put into a Roth. And guess what? Our whole goal is to make more money than you can put into a Roth IRA, right? And so a lot of my clients kind of grow out of the Roth IRA in their careers. The last place the IRS says we can put money tax efficiently, it's in permanent life insurance, y'all. And it's using life insurance strategically as an asset and a risk management tool to create additional leverage in your portfolio, whether you want to use it for the business or you want to use it to fund your personal expenses. These are just some examples of ways that you can pay and use your life insurance to pay for things. And this isn't necessarily real estate focused, but think about it. What if you need access to capital for clothes, right? I know someone that wanted to buy a house in April of 2020. Guess what? No one was lending money in April 2020. Heck, barely any real estate people were able to actually do deals. This person was able to do a deal because they were able to access the money in their cash value life insurance when everyone else was scared to make things happen. They made opportunities happen in their plan when other opportunities were not available. So it's just another strategy I talk to my clients about, creating leverage, making sure your dollars have multiple jobs in your plan, and most importantly, being tax efficient so that we're not tipping the IRS and we're building our wealth efficiently and with a tax focus, both while you're living and when it comes to pay or to pass that legacy down to your family. So that was like the fastest webinar I've ever given. But to recap the 5 wealth building tips for women: cultivate your money mindset, know your numbers, protect your castle, grow your money, and stop paying taxes. and this is just my details, contact information, as a gift to everyone here and for your time today. I want to offer time with me, a strategy session just to get to know you, your story, and share some ideas that might be impactful to you and your family and your business. So there's a link to schedule time, this QR code. And when you book with me today, I'll include a bonus video that's around more the money mindset. It's called fear setting. It's a practice I use all the time. Maybe you've talked about it here, Liz. But really to help face our fears and put an action plan together to live our dreams and create our dream life. So I'm ready for questions. And
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great stuff. That's great. Thank you, Brittany. All right. Yeah. Jasmine, you had asked, my husband and I are in a reverse position compared to a lot of people. And I'll read this quickly here. Due to a career break for me, entrepreneurship for my husband, we don't have a lot of income at the moment, but we do have plenty of money invested that we can take out for a substantial down payment. I want to invest in rental properties to increase our monthly income and provide more flexibility for us, but unsure how we can look to lenders since we don't have as much income we did 6 months ago. Any advice for navigating the situation or better leveraging our existing assets?
Yeah, and this might be something you know about too. So I know that there's new mortgage products in the market where you don't necessarily have to meet certain income requirements, and it's based more on assets and bank statements and things like that. You might not get as great of a rate. I mean, rates are what they are. But that's one way. I'm not a mortgage expert, but that's one way I would have a creative conversation with a creative mortgage broker that can shop different banks and try and get you an interesting loan for your situation. The other thing I want to talk about, and this kind of goes to growing your money, if it's a non-qualified account, if you have money in the market and it's not in a retirement account, you can borrow against your non-qualified assets to create a line of credit for you that you can then use in other areas of your plan. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, and I'm not saying it varies on circumstances and what you have, but a lot of people, this is where they make a mistake. They think they have to sell. And you don't necessarily have to sell to create leverage to buy another property. So that's something else. If you want to talk more offline, happy to connect with you. But those are some ideas I'd throw your way to think about to kind of get around the more traditional lending stuff going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just share too. Here's the deal, right? Because you got to make sure you're always talking to the right people at the bank, right? And that's number one, because some banks, they're just more into traditional financing. So you have to be really mindful of that. In general, in our business, debt service coverage ratio, DSCR loans that's what it's called in terms of they're basing more on the actual property than your income. That's the whole point of those loans. So you want to make sure you're going to the right lenders who offer those types of programs. I know that we also have, I'll put it in the chat box, Jasmine. Asset-based lending is one of our sponsors. They do a lot of those types of loans. So I'll put in a few people's contact info that we have. If they can't help you, I know they'll know who to talk to, but they've been a good resource. So that's what you want to look for is really the DSCR lenders is what
I thought that's what they were called too, but I didn't know if there was another one with a different name. But yeah, DSCR is a great spot.
Yeah, the folks that we're familiar with, they've been doing a lot with our members is asset-based lending, and they are in the Philadelphia region, and they're everywhere. So I want to just mention that. There's probably more too, but that's the one coming to my head right now. All right, hopefully it helps you, Jasmine. Jennifer, I'm 50. No, you guys are popping in a bunch of questions now. I'm 53. How expensive would it be to get off coverage? Do you know what that means?
Yeah, like coverage outside of work or whatever, get your own coverage. I don't know if this was specific to disability or to life insurance, but this is a case-by-case thing. When I go through underwriting with any of my clients, underwriting has to do with your age and your gender, although we have some products that are gender neutral. So we can talk about that. But then it also has to do with your health. And this is why you can't wait until, like with my mom, right? My mom lost her job and then got diagnosed with cancer. At that point, it was too late. She couldn't get life insurance, at least not any life insurance that was going to be affordable because she had been diagnosed with a death sentence, basically. So happy to chat with you offline and run a personalized quote for you. And then see, I can shop other carriers as well to make sure that based on your situation, we're getting you the best coverage for the best price. So
cool. Thank you for that. Sophia is asking, do tax advantages with permanent life insurance exist in Canada?
I can't write anything in Canada. All of my licenses are US based, so I'm really sorry. I can't answer that question. My old boss is the president at Sun Life.
And so, Sophia, I would recommend, Sophia, we have, I think 3 or 4, I think we have 3 meetups in Canada. They're all active in our main Facebook group. So what I would do if you needed someone, right? I don't know how that works, Brittany, if they go to you first or what have you,
Yeah.
but that's another way to get some info because we do have quite a bit of representation.
I don't know if this is part if she's based in Canada or if she just has family in Canada. But if you're on US soil, I can get you life insurance and it will generally pay out internationally. There's some different laws based on different countries. So I can check on that stuff too. As long as you're in the US, I can write policies on you and then you can leverage them wherever you're at as well. But if you're in another country right now, I can't get you that. I just want to clarify that. So
yeah. Okay, good stuff. Hopefully it helps a little, Sophia. We do have local resources there. Okay, Stacy, what are your thoughts on infinite banking? Is New Mexico, I'm thinking NM is New Mexico, a good place to do this?
Northwestern Mutual. Yep.
Oh, Northwestern. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. I tell you, welcome Monday. Okay. What are your thoughts on infinite banking? I have heard you want to structure the policy differently, more for cash value versus than death benefits. So if you want to speak to that.
I had a call on that this morning.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so this is where, again, I could use every topic I think I talked about here in the webinar. We could spend an hour outside of the webinar talking about it, but you're absolutely right. So what she's talking about is how do we make life insurance as an asset grow as quickly as possible so that it's something we can actually leverage with meaning, right? So it's actually a meaningful amount of money that we can use in other areas of our plan. So when we design those life insurance strategies, we're trying to design the life insurance death benefit as little as possible so that we can maximize the growth of the cash value inside of it. So you're not paying more than you need to pay for the life insurance costs. A couple of things to know. The cost of life insurance varies from company to company, and it all has to do with how efficiently run a company is and if they're insuring people that are dying faster than people that are staying alive, right? So that's going to vary from company to company. Just like the due diligence you do on your deals, you want to know what their company's financials are that you're in getting involved with. The great thing is Northwestern is the most financially secure and the most efficiently run life insurance company in the U.S. So I'm a great place to speak to, and I also am licensed with other carriers as well if we find that Northwestern is not the right match for your needs. So yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Thanks for asking the question.
Are you associated with a specific mutual company? Yeah, Northwestern.
Northwestern, right? Yeah. But I can write for Mass. Which is another one that comes up often, Mass Mutual, Guardian. Those are the other 2 big mutual companies in New York Life. So
awesome. We read a book called Bank on Yourself by Pamela Yellen. Is this the same insurance that you're talking of?
I haven't read that book, but I imagine if she's talking about permanent life insurance, and I should share, like, there's a lot of different flavors of permanent life insurance. There's traditional whole life, there's universal life, there's variable universal life, there's indexed universal life, and they all have different applications depending on your tolerance for risk and what your goals are. So I would, schedule time with me if you want to learn more about those things or just know what those terms are and make sure you know what you're investing in. And then the mention of mutual, why mutual is important is because when you become a policy holder of a mutual company, you earn dividends on your policy, and there's tax efficiencies with the dividends that help the policy's values grow as well. So if you're going to get a life insurance policy and try and do this infinite banking thing, you want to engage with a mutual company because you want your policy to grow and grow more than just by the premiums you're putting into it. So
awesome. I love it. Brittany, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing your insight. So many of the women in our community have reached out to Brittany to really get an idea. And she's so knowledgeable. She's so giving. She's so passionate and she knows her stuff. So definitely recommend reaching out to Brittany. I know if she can't help you, she'll tell you. That's what I love most about you, just like we can at the investor community. And if it speaks to you in terms of growing your portfolio and just wanting a strategy session about all things kind of your business in terms of real estate, check out that link I sent with Fatima. She's phenomenal. And she's one of our key women in our team to really help you think differently. So
And I should share, Liz,
yeah,
that I take the time to get to know a lot of your other partners in the community. And so I can refer, and I don't charge fees, I don't get paid for making
yeah,
referrals, but like if there's someone else in the investor community that I think could help, I make sure I connect people, because
yeah.
I connected with all the other sponsors at the conferences and things like that. So I like to know who else is involved and who else is working with my clients, so that way we can work together. We're all on the same team here, trying to help you grow wealth and feel confident and achieve your goals. So
That's what, yeah, that's phenomenal. With anything, we have you really take one thing away. What's your one takeaway from today? If you want to just throw that into the chat box very quickly, one takeaway, one learning, one thing you're going to do differently, or as a result of today's webinar, above everything else, right? We're really committed to your growth. We're really committed to your education, and we're committed to you taking action, because you can learn a lot of good things and you do nothing. We don't stand for that. That's not why Brittany and I are here today and literally just spent an entire hour communicating and connecting with all of you. We're here, we take a stand for you. Taking action, though, is the key, not thinking about taking action. So we'd love to hear, anything that you're taking away that you're going to do differently. So set up a call with Brittany. That's a good one. All right, good stuff. Awesome. Very cool. You're not going to get in trouble, Brittany. Cool. Awesome.
yeah, and listen, I think the most thing you can do for all of us is just get educated on your options.
Yep.
Right? What you read about in a forum, what you think someone else is doing, it might not apply to your plan, right? Or a different strategy might apply for you. This group is always so good about sharing resources and educating, empower one another. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to what your goals are, what your plan is, and really what's going to make you feel confident. And
Yeah.
so I just want to empower you all to ask questions. Even if you think it's a silly question, feel free to reach out to me. There are no silly questions, and I'm always happy to be a resource, whether that's soon or later down the line. So
Yeah, good. And people are talking about getting their will updated. I think that's
it's so
an
important.
amazing one.
It's
All
so
right.
important.
Brittany, as always, thank you so much for being such a wealth of knowledge. You're amazing. Everyone, thank you for spending this webinar with us. We have 2 a month. Please check out our events page, therealestateinvesther.com/events. Really committed to bringing you the best experts and resources so you can live a financially free and balanced life. That's what we stand for. So thanks for being on today. Brittany, thanks again so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
See
Have a
you.
good day, everyone. Do
Bye.
something with what you learned. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. See you, Liz.